The message came at 2:13 a.m. I remember the exact time because I hadn't been sleeping much lately. Something in the air had shifted weeks ago, subtle, almost polite, but enough to keep my mind circling, like a vulture that knew something below was already dead. My phone lit up beside me. Her name, short message, cold. He's moving in. There's nothing to discuss. I didn't move right away. I just stared at it, letting the words settle, rearrange themselves, hoping they'd mean something else if I looked long enough. They didn't. My chest didn't tighten. No dramatic reaction, just a slow hollowing, like someone had quietly removed something essential from inside me without asking. I turned my head slightly. She was asleep next to me. Peaceful, breathing evenly, like she hadn't just detonated something irreversible. I studied her face in the dim light, tried to match this version of her, the soft, familiar one, with the voice behind that message. It didn't match. That was the first crack. I picked up my phone again. Read it a second time, then a third. No explanation, no apology, no hesitation. Just a decision, already made. I typed a reply, deleted it, typed again, deleted that too. Because suddenly, I understood something. This wasn't a conversation. This was an announcement, and announcements don't ask for permission. So I locked my phone, set it down, and stared at the ceiling, counting the seconds between her breaths, trying to pinpoint the exact moment she stopped being mine. Or maybe when I stopped being hers. I don't think it happened tonight. No, this had been building. Quietly, carefully, right under my nose. It started making sense the next morning. The way she avoided eye contact over breakfast. The way her phone never left her hand anymore. The way her tone had shifted. Not hostile, not even distant. Just indifferent. Indifference is worse. Anger means something still matters. Indifference means it's already over. Who's moving in? I asked finally, keeping my voice level. She didn't look up. You know who? Of course I did. Her ex. The one she always described as complicated. The one who still owned the apartment we were living in. The one she swore was completely out of the picture. I nodded slowly, like I was processing something logical. Since when? She shrugged. Recently. Such a convenient word. It hides timelines. Erases accountability. I watched her take a sip of coffee, completely unbothered. You didn't think to tell me before deciding this? I asked. She sighed, like I was the inconvenience. I knew you'd react like this. Like what? Calm? Because I wasn't yelling. I wasn't arguing. And I think that confused her more than anything. You can stay, she added casually. Or not, it's your choice. That's when it clicked. This wasn't just about him moving in. This was about replacing me. Gradually, quietly, efficiently. Like I was already halfway out the door, and she was just finishing the job. I leaned back in my chair, studying her like a stranger. How long? I asked. She hesitated. Just for a second. But it was enough. Don't do that, she muttered. So it wasn't recent. Of course it wasn't. The late nights. The work stress. The emotional distance that crept in like fog. It had a source. And now it had a name. I nodded again. Not because I accepted it, but because I understood it. And understanding something gives you control. That's when the anger should have come. But it didn't. What came instead was something colder, cleaner, a kind of clarity that stripped everything down to its simplest truth. She had already made her move. Now it was my turn to make mine. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and headed for the door. Where are you going? She asked. I paused for a moment. Then I looked back at her. Really looked this time. And for the first time in a long while, I felt nothing. Just handling something, I said. And I left. I didn't confront her. Didn't argue. Didn't demand explanations. Because explanations are for people who still care about the answer. I cared about something else now. Verification. Patterns don't lie. People do. I started small. Phone records. Not hacking. Not spying. Just observing what was already visible. The frequency of unknown numbers. The timing of messages. Late nights. Early mornings. Consistent. Predictable. Then came the receipts. Literally. Shared expenses. Subtle charges. Places she said she hadn't been. Times she claimed she was elsewhere. Tiny inconsistencies. But when you line them up, they form a map. And every map leads somewhere. I followed it quietly. Patiently. Like this was a problem to solve, not a relationship to save. She didn't notice the shift in me. Or maybe she did, and just didn't care. Either way, it worked in my favor. I watched. Listened. Connected dots. And slowly, the picture sharpened. This wasn't just emotional overlap. This was a full transition. Planned, executed. I wasn't being replaced. I had already been replaced. I just hadn't been informed yet. And that, That was the part that almost made me smile. Because if she thought I was the last one to realize what was happening, she was about to be very, very wrong. I went back home that night. Same apartment, same walls, different reality. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone, comfortable, like nothing had changed, like everything had. "Did you think about what I said?" she asked without looking up. I set my keys down slowly, watched her for a moment, then I nodded. "Yeah," I said quietly. I did. And for the first time, I had a plan. I started packing the next morning. Not angrily, not in a rush, just deliberately. Every item I touched, every drawer I emptied, every shelf I cleared was a statement. Precise, measured, calm. I didn't throw things around. I didn't slam doors. I moved with the quiet certainty of someone who knows they're already untouchable. Each item in the truck was a fragment of my life, and I stacked them neatly, like a surgeon laying out instruments. Memories included, but carefully curated. No sentimentality. No need to be haunted by what she had already discarded in her heart. She noticed eventually, stood in the doorway while I packed, watching. "You're really doing this?" she asked. Her voice wasn't angry. Shock, maybe, confusion. A subtle crack in the armor she wore so well. I didn't answer. I kept moving. The truck filled. Boxes labeled. My clothes. My books. My laptop. Things she never cared about or pretended not to. And then came the lease papers. I sat down at the kitchen table, pen in hand, calm, cold. My signature went through with deliberate precision. My name erased from the lease. One final line severing the last formal tether. She finally spoke. "You can't just—" I didn't let her finish. I didn't need to. "Leaving," I said softly, "isn't up for discussion either." No pleading, no begging, just reality. Her ex. He'd already moved in quietly, the way she always wanted. I didn't have to interfere. I just stepped aside and let the consequences of her choices arrive naturally. She had created a small world where she thought she had control. I simply withdrew. The shift in power was invisible at first, but inevitable. Later, when she realized that I wasn't angry, wasn't chasing her, wasn't panicking, her expression changed. Uneasy, confused, vulnerable. She was starting to see the truth. She'd ignored. Life doesn't bend for liars and manipulators. Every text she sent after that, hesitant, apologetic, calculating, was met with silence. Each one a reminder that I had already removed myself from her chaos, her shock, her guilt, the subtle panic. It was all a reflection of what I'd understood months ago. She had no idea that I had already anticipated every move, cataloged every lie, and traced every hidden step in her secret life. By the time the last box was loaded, the apartment was empty of me but full of echoes. Echoes of trust betrayed, of intimacy violated, of manipulation unnoticed until it became undeniable. I walked out without looking back. The door clicked shut behind me, a sound louder than any argument could have been. I didn't need to shout. I didn't need to expose her lies with confrontation or anger. I had already exposed them with action. The absence of me was the message. And the apartment, now shared between her and her ex, became a crucible for the very consequences she refused to see. She had built her illusion of happiness on a foundation of deceit. And as the walls closed around her choices, I stayed distant, detached, a shadow of clarity she could no longer reach. The truck drove away. I felt nothing at first. And then relief. Not from escaping her, not from leaving, but from knowing the truth was finally in plain view. She would have to face it, all of it, without me softening the edges, without me interfering, without me pretending that denial could protect her. And somewhere in that clarity, in the precise control of my own life reclaimed, there was something far more powerful than revenge. It was proof that I didn't need to fight. That control was never in her hands. That reality, the quiet, unbending force, would teach the lesson she refused to learn from me. I didn't look back. The city stretched ahead, cold streets empty beneath the dawn. The air smelled of rain and asphalt, sharp and clean. I inhaled deeply, and I understood fully that I was free. Free from the lies, free from her manipulation, free from the slow erosion of trust disguised as love. She would learn, eventually, painfully, slowly, and there would be no one to soften it for her, because I had stepped aside. And now, finally, I was untouchable. No apologies, no reconciliations, no second chances, just the precise, unyielding reality of choices and consequences. I drove on, the past shrinking behind me, the future entirely mine.